Your father's phone never rings twice. Not because people do not call back. They do, always, desperately. But because he answers on the first ring, every time, day or night, in a way that has always seemed to you less like a habit and more like a reflex. Like breathing. Like the specific alertness of a man who has spent so long being needed that his body no longer distinguishes between available and awake. You have watched him answer that phone at 2:00 am in the kitchen, at 6:00 am in the car, once at your 8th birthday party, stepping away from the cake with an expression you were too young then to name, but can name now precisely. The face of a man shifting gears between two completely different, lives in under 3 seconds. His name is Walter. He is 51 years old. He has a law degree from Georgetown, a consulting firm with 11 employees on the 8th floor of a building in Washington, D.C., and a business card that reads, Strategic Crisis Management. This is accurate in the same way that describing the ocean as wet is accurate. It contains the surface and nothing underneath. What your father actually does is this. When powerful people, politicians, executives, diplomats, occasionally people whose power has no official title, find themselves in situations that cannot be resolved through normal channels, they call Walter. Not his office, not his assistant, his personal number, which fewer than 40 people in the world possess. He answers on the first ring. He listens. He asks 3 questions. Always 3. Always the same 3, though you have never been in the room when he asks them. Then he says, I will call you back in 1 hour. And in 1 hour, he calls back with a solution. Not a suggestion. Not a strategy. A solution. Specific, complete, and by the time he delivers it, already in motion. You do not know the details of what the solutions involve. You have understood the outline since you were 13 and are now 17, and the outline has not changed. Only your ability to hold it has. The solutions involve people being moved, records being altered, narratives being constructed that are internally consistent and externally unverifiable. Occasionally, rarely, your father has said this once and you believed him. Occasionally they involve a problem simply ceasing to exist in a way that requires no further explanation. He said this once, in passing, at the kitchen table, the way he says everything important, quietly, without decoration, as information rather than confession. He charges $2.4 million per engagement. He has completed in 23 years of this work, 214 engagements. You did the math when you were 15. You sat with the number for 3 days before you mentioned it to anyone. And the only person you mentioned it to was him. And when you did, he looked at you across the dinner table and said, correct. And then he asked you to pass the salt. Your mother knows. She has always known. She met your father 3 years into this work at a Georgetown alumni event. And he told her on their second date with the same economy he brings to everything. She is a pediatric surgeon. She saves children's lives 4 days a week at Georgetown University Hospital. She has never once asked your father about a specific engagement. She has never once pretended his work is something it is not. What she has done for 19 years is love him with the specific completeness of a woman who decided once, early and clearly, that the man was worth the weight of what he carried. You have grown up watching this. It is the most complicated and most instructive thing you have ever seen. Your father's clients are not criminals. This is the distinction he draws carefully when you are 15 and ask the direct question, who calls you? He says, people who made decisions that produced consequences they did not anticipate. People who cannot afford the truth to surface without destroying things they built that are mostly worth keeping. He pauses. He says, I am not in the business of protecting the guilty. I am in the business of managing the distance between what happened and what the world is ready to understand. You think about this for a long time. You are still thinking about it. The phone calls come at intervals that have no pattern. This is intentional, he explained once. Pattern is the enemy of security. But there are signals you have learned to read over 17 years. When he eats dinner with his phone face down instead of in his pocket, something is already in motion. When he takes his coffee black instead of with the single sugar he normally takes, he is calibrating, running calculations. The sugar is the first thing that goes when his mind is fully occupied. When he cancels a weekend plan without explanation and simply says, "Something came up," you know that somewhere in this city or another one, a problem is in the process of disappearing. You have never asked what the problems are. This is not because you lack courage or curiosity. You have both in quantities your teachers have been remarking on since you were 8. It is because you understood early that some questions, once asked, change the relationship between the asker and the answerer in ways that cannot be undone. You are not ready for that change. You do not know if you will ever be ready. This is the most honest thing you know about yourself. Last month, a man came to the house. Not unusual. Your father meets clients at the house occasionally. Always in the study. Always with the door closed. Always with you and your mother in other parts of the house understanding, without being told that this hour does not belong to the family. But this man you saw for 3 seconds in the hallway as he arrived, before the study door closed. He was a senator. You recognized him. Everyone would recognize him. He was gripping your father's hand with both of his, and his face contained something you have seen on exactly 2 other people in your life in that specific configuration. The face of a person who has run out of every other option and is standing in front of the only one left. Your father looked at him with an expression you have seen 10,000 times. Calm, complete, already working. The senator left 2 hours later. His face was different, still shaken. These things do not vanish completely in 2 hours. But underneath the shaking, something had settled. Whatever he came with, he was no longer carrying it alone. Your father came to the kitchen. He made coffee, with sugar. He sat down, he looked at you across the table and said, "How was school?" And you told him. And he listened the way he always listens, completely, as if nothing in the world is more important than what you are saying, which is the most remarkable thing about him, given everything else. The phone did not ring again until 11 Toloro that night. He answered on the first ring. He always does.